All right, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go into the chariots. Alright, the chariots of Israel, which are known in this world as the so-called UFOs, the so-called UAPs. Right here, Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. So a whirlwind is a representation of destruction, because those spaceships, the so-called UFOs, are going to, are coming for judgment. Because those so-called UFOs, those spaceships, are coming for two things: salvation, but also to execute judgment. A whirlwind came out of the north. All right, so the north, talking about America. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north in a great cloud, enfolding itself. So that cloud, talking about that spaceship, that so-called UFO, and a fire enfolding itself. All right, a fire enfolding itself. So what Ezekiel saw was a chariot of Israel coming out of a portal. All right, what you call a wormhole, and it was as the brightness, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as a color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Yeah, because some of these portals, sometimes they're like a ring of fire. All right, you ever seen that movie Doctor Strange, or the Avengers? Infinity War. Remember when Doctor Strange, he would open that portal. It was kind of like a ring of fire. All right, so it was a portal like that. All right, it was a portal just like that. Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 5. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of the four living creatures. Okay, the angels. All right, because the angels are inside those ships, and there was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Right there. Okay, they had the likeness of a man. That just going into the the angels are inside those ships. St. Jude chapter 1 verse 14 and 15. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai cometh with 10,000s of his saints. Alright, so 10,000 of his saints, meaning thousands and thousands of angels. Alright, thousands. Verse 15, to do what? So when Yahweh Shai gets here with the angels, we're talking, the Lord's going to come with, the whole heavenly host, just to make an example. Just to, to flex his power, to show these heathens, the Edomites, and these wicked 2/3, who their creator is, But also for the elect, is going to receive salvation. But for the 2/3, the wicked 2/3 of our people, the heathens and the Edomites, they're gonna be judged. They're gonna be zapped to powder from the lasers from those ships. St. Jude chapter 1 verse 15, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly. See that? So to execute judgment upon all. Okay, whether you're righteous or wicked. If you're wicked, you're out of there. There's a lot of judgments coming down the pike, starting with martial law, famine, okay, all these wars, race wars, civil war, World War III. Okay, then if you make it all past that, you got the ICBMs, which you got these superpowers around the world, pointing them towards each other right now as we speak. All right, then if you make it past that, then Yahushua and the angels and the 144 will get you and will hunt you down if you escape that. If you escape, the nuclear holocaust, so to speak. But no one's gonna escape judgment. So one way or another, all roads lead to Yahushua. Okay, no one's gonna escape Yahushua. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. To execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of their ungodly deeds. Which they have ungodly committed, and have all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against them. Right. Because the Lord's coming back to convince, these scoffers and mockers, that don't believe that those spaceships are the vehicles of the heavens. You see? So the Lord he's gonna show out, The Lord's coming back to put respect on his name. You see? And of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Yeah, so for all those around the world that are talking crap, talking trash. You see? That are talking trash. So, the Lord can hear them, The Lord knows. Even if somebody has a thought, even if somebody has just thinking about, they hate the Lord, if anyone, is scoffing or talking trash about the Lord knows, you don't even have to say it, if you just think it, the Lord already knows. St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 and 31. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Alright, so that's Yahushua, because Yahushua, who the world stubbornly calls Jesus Christ, he's going to show up in the middle of World War III. Okay, he's going to show up in the middle of World War III. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. So why people are going to be mourning? I thought these wacky-tacky Christians said that, God's all love. The so-called white man says that, all slavery, don't worry about it. That's in the past. Let bygones be bygones. So this is why right here. And then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. Because the whole point of the second coming is to kill people. This is what, in case your wicked pork chop eating preacher didn't tell you. Okay, in case you didn't get the memo. Alright, the Lord's coming back for his elect. But that's a small number compared to the rest of the world. Everybody else is going to be slain. Except the top elites of the heathen and the Edomites are going to be reserved for slavery. See? And they shall see the Son of Man, Yahushai, coming in the clouds of heaven. So once again, so the world is going to witness the second coming of the Lord, Yahushai, who the world stubbornly calls Jesus Christ. All right. And so all the people in the world, everybody, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. Okay, so the whole world is gonna witness the second coming of Yahushai. Okay, the second coming of Yahushai. He's going to arrive over there in the in the Middle East first, in the Battle of Armageddon. All right, which is this third world war. So you gotta remember, the Lord, he's gonna show up there first. Then he's gonna come over here to America. You see? All right, so but every eye will see him, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Talking about the so-called UFOs. Okay, the Chariots of Israel. You see? Verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. So who's inside those ships? Right here it specifies it. It tells us, because people are saying, "Oh man, those are aliens, bro. Those are Titans. What the hell? They're angels." You see? And no, the angels are not little so-called naked white babies. Okay, the angels are mighty. St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. See that? Because once the angels get here, they're going to execute judgment upon all with the Yahushai. See, so whether you're righteous or whether you're wicked, we're in judgment time. So you got to understand. This is why there's roughly around 8 billion people on the planet Earth today. Why is that? Because everyone's back to receive their judgment, whether it's good or whether it's not good. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. All right, so the four corners of the earth, meaning that the Israelites right there are gonna look like every single nation in this world, from the four winds, from the four corners, meaning that there's Israelites out there that look like so-called Chinese, okay, but they're Israelites because they believe in the Lord. There's gonna be Israelites out there that are gonna look like so-called white people. See, remember, just because you look like a so-called white person doesn't mean that that you're an Edomite. Because you can be an Israelite. It's a spirit. Remember, we've been in captivity, so it doesn't matter. Let's say if you're born over there in Germany or whatever, but if you believe in the Lord, all right, there's a good chance that you're an Israelite. You see, all right, because it's a spiritual thing. So that right there, right there, because it doesn't say that the Lord's only gonna pick up the Israelites over here in this location. No, from the four winds, meaning what? That the Israelites are scattered all throughout the four corners of the earth, because you're gonna have Israelites out there looking like so-called Asians, but they believe in the Lord. So-called East Indians, so-called Arabs, but they believe in the Lord. You see? So that's why right away in this thing, when you're out there, you can't just judge a book by its cover. You can't just think, oh, hey, that's the heathen, because what if that person, that individual believes in the Lord, and you didn't even ask him. You just think, oh, hey, that's a heathen. They're going to slavery. How do you know? What if they believe in the Lord and you didn't even ask him yet? You see? Huh? 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 6 on down. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High Yahweh to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Right. So the Lord is going to pay back our enemies, because this is it's a spiritual thing, because you're supposed to just stay in the spirit. The Lord is going to give vengeance back to the 144 and then the rest of Israel, but once we're in the kingdom. But right now, the Lord fights our battles. It's a spiritual thing, you see. Verse 7, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 7. This right here explains how the angels are. And to you who are troubled, rest with us. Right, those of you that are nervous, okay, those of you that are weary, rest with the Lord, because these words should comfort you, because this is the comforter. When the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven, from the skies, okay, because he's going to come in through that portal with his mighty angels, okay, mighty angels. See that? So it doesn't say, little so-called, naked white babies, with the little mini angels. No, saying the mighty angels, because the angels were rough. All right, this is something that the world don't really understand. Okay, because these Edomites have painted a picture that the angels are with the Most High up there, and they're all naked with no clothes and all that. Okay, it's because this dude's a homosexual. Esau is a pedophile. The Edomites, okay, the self-proclaimed white man. So this is why the world thinks that, because they painted that picture. See, this is why these Edomites have a lot to pay for, because they lied to the world about everything. You see? But real soon those angels are gonna step out of those ships, and the world's gonna know, like, dang, they they really are they're mighty angels, The whole world's gonna you guys are about to see the angels step outside those ships, because right now the Lord is showing you those ships, the so-called UFOs all around the world. Okay, but real soon those angels are gonna step outside of those ships. Absolutely, because something you gotta understand is that the Lord and the angels are gonna be in World War III. Okay, the Lord and the angels are gonna be in World War III. This is something that you have to understand, because remember, it's not just Russia, the U.S., NATO, China, North Korea that's gonna be going at it. Iran. It's you gotta remember, the Lord and the angels are gonna be in this third world war. That's why there's so many recordings, being recorded, around the world, because worldwide right now, going up every day on these platforms, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, whatever, whatever else is out there, these different platforms, people are recording the so-called UFOs. You see, people are recording the so-called UFOs. You see, and this is worldwide. So there's videos going up every day of that. But why is that? Because the Lord is showing the world who He is, because our power, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, is a power that hides Himself. See, so the whole world don't know Him, but they're about to. See, and that's what the prophets are doing. The prophets are heralding in the Lord, saying, okay, prepare to meet Yahweh Shai. Okay, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You see? Because the whole world don't believe that the Lord is so-called black man. Okay, with a white beard and a white, and a white afro. See, this is the world don't know that. See, the world don't really know and believe that the Lord's coming back with spaceships. See that? Automatically, when the general population and when the people of the world see those so-called UFOs, right away they just think about ET phone home, all right, aliens, bro, because they have been falsely led, and they have been given false information by who? Okay, the Edomites. Okay, the Edomites. You see? Second Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 8. And flaming fire taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High, and that obey not the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. See that? So those who don't, those who don't repent, this is what's about to be. This is what's about to happen. Verse 9: Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of His power. See that? So this is why. It's written, because if you haven't been, if you're not repenting, this is, that's it for you. Who shall be punished? All right, from the Lord, because the Lord's coming back to execute judgment, and from the glory of His power, right there. Verse 10: When He shall come to be glorified in His saints, okay, the Israelites, the elect, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. Right there. All right, so with that's it's all about belief and faith. So that's part one on the that's it on part one on the Chariots of Israel. Those are which are known in this world as the so-called UFOs, so-called UAPs. So with that, stay strong, stay prayed up on your feet, soldier. Shalom.